Promulgation of Universal Peace by Abdul Baha Abbas. Reflect then carefully that the sovereignty of God is not accidental, but everlasting and eternal, and that it necessitates the existence of phenomenal being. Kingship necessitates a kingdom, an army, a treasury, subjects, a court, and ministers. How could there be a king without subjects, dominion, and wealth? Otherwise, anybody could claim to be a king. Where is your army? I do not need one. Where is your country? It is unnecessary. I am a king without a kingdom, without army, subjects, or sovereignty. Is this possible? Therefore, divine sovereignty necessitates a creation over which its dominion is exercised. There must be evidences of sovereignty. If we try to conceive of a time when creation was non-existent, when there were no subjects or creatures under divine dominion and control, divinity itself would disappear. Well, an eternal universe way of thinking, but not necessarily. There would be a cessation of the bounty of God, just as the kingdom and favor of an earthly monarch would disappear if his kingdom did not exist. The sovereignty of God is eternal. Okay, well, that part's true. There has been no beginning, there will be no end. So see, this is how it differs from almost every religion, the Baha'i movement. This is as evident as the sun at midday, even to one endowed with limited reason. Limited reason talks about a chain of cause. When we consider the phenomenal sun, we see that its heat and light are continuous. There is no cessation to the solar bounty. If the sun at any time were without light or heat, it would not be the sun. How do we recognize the sun? Through its heat and effulgence. If it be deprived of its rays and heat, it is no longer a sun. It is merely a dark globe or sphere in the heavens. The bounties of the sun must be perpetual in order that it may be qualified as a solar center of energy, illumination, and attraction. Likewise, the divine bounties of the Sun of Reality are perpetual. Its light is forever shining, its love is forever radiating. Its bounty never ceases. It could not be said that the power and effulgence of God was ever subject to creation. It could not be claimed that the divinity of the Almighty One had come to an end. For the divinity of God is eternal, therefore the divine bounties, whether phenomenal and accidental, are spiritual and ideal, or perpetual. But the people of religion are of two kinds. Some worship the sun, and some adore the dawning points from which the sun arises. Jung talked about the solar and the lunar types of worship, but, we don't worship the sun. For instance, the Jews adore the Mosaic point of dawning, the Zoroastrians, that is Zoroaster. Mazda Yasnahe means that their worship, their praise, their songs, their celebrations are for God. Not Zoroaster, God. The people of Abraham turned to the point of rising in Abraham when the Sun of Reality transferred its illumination from the Abrahamic to the Mosaic point of dawning. The people of Abraham denied its appearance because they were turning toward the point and not to the Sun of Reality itself. When that Sun of Reality, with its divine bestowal, its heavenly glow and effulgence, transferred to the Messianic point of rising, the Jews denied its appearance in Jesus, for they were not worshippers of the sun itself, but adored its rising in Moses. Had they been worshippers of the Sun of Reality, they would have turned to Christ instead of denying him as the Messiah. What was the reason of this deprivation? It was simply because they were imitating fathers and ancestors in forms of belief instead of turning toward the Sun of Divinity. For this reason, they were deprived of the bounty which dawned in the Messianic dayspring. Holding tenaciously to the former dawning point, they still remain in this point of deprivation. Consider the people and nations of the earth today and observe the tenacious allegation to ancestral belief. Well, the real problem, if they were able to do such, is that they have rules like that have to do with going to the bathroom and other stuff that's limited to a particular time and place. He whose father was a Zoroastrian is a Zoroastrian. He whose father was Buddhist remains a Buddhist. The son of a Muslim continues to be a Muslim. And so on throughout. Why is this? Because they are slaves and captives of mere imitation. They have not investigated the reality of religion and arrived at its fundamentals and conclusions. The Jew, for instance, has not proved the validity of Moses by investigating reality. He is a Jew because his father was a Jew. He imitates the forms and beliefs of his fathers and ancestors. There is no thought or mention of reality. And so it is with the other peoples of religion. This is the purpose of our statement, that they worship the dawning point rather than the sun of reality itself. In the day of Jesus Christ, the Jews had forsaken imitation and investigated reality. They would assuredly have believed and accepted him. For the messianic effulgence was far greater than the Mosaic. The sun of reality, when it appeared before the dawning point of Christ, was as the midsummer sun in brilliancy and beauty. Now, therefore, we must be admonished and realized that mere imitation of fathers and ancestors is fruitless. Nay, rather, we must exert ourselves to the utmost, investigating and turn towards the sun of reality, no matter from what dayspring or dawning point it may appear. The phenomenal sun is one sun. If tomorrow it should rise in the west, it is the same sun. We cannot say, this is not the sun because it has appeared in the west. For the east and the west are but earthly and imaginary directions. For the station of the sun there is neither east nor west. It is ever shining from its place in the heavens. In the focal point of the solar circle, there is no rising, no setting. Therefore, the sunrise and sunset have relation to earthly observation and not to the luminary itself. Nay, rather, night in the solar orb is inconceivable. In that center of effulgence, constant light and illumination prevail. Well, the sun definitely has an origin and will come to an end, like many other suns before it and after it. Its risings and settings are, therefore, only apparent and not actual, in relation to our earthly point of view. We could not consider it, the sun, if there were a cessation of light, heat, and splendor. To do so would be equivalent to the calling a black stone a diamond. This would be meaningless if a man is a miser and you call him generous. It will produce no change in him. The purport of this is that God is almighty, but his greatness cannot be brought within the group of human limitation. We cannot limit God to a boundary. Man is limited, but the world of divinity is unlimited. Prescribing limitation to God is human ignorance. God is the ancient, the almighty. His attributes are infinite. He is God because his light, his sovereignty is infinite. If he can be limited to human ideas, like being male or female, he is not God. Strange is that, notwithstanding these are self-evident truths, man continues to build walls and fences of limitation about God, about divinity so glorious, illimitable, boundless. Consider the endless phenomena of his creation. They are infinite. The universe is infinite. Who shall declare its height, its depth, and length? It is absolutely infinite. How could an almighty sovereign, a divinity so wondrous, be brought within the limitations of faulty human minds, even as to terms and definitions? Shall we then say that God has performed a certain thing, and he will never be able to perform it again? That the sun of his effulgence once again shone upon the world, but now has set forever? That his mercy, his grace, his bounty once descended, but now have ceased? Is this possible? No, we can never say, nor believe with truth that his manifestation, the adored verity, the sun of reality, shall cease to shine upon the world.